There's a boy without his mother. She left when he was born. And there's a girl lost her father. It's never felt so alone. And all the kid keeps hearing is how he's not good enough. After a while he starts believing to live is just too tough.
I don't know if it's for you guys as well, but for me, if one person can relate to what I'm going through, that's what makes it real. That's what makes it the best thing for me personally. When I shared my story, I had a girl come up to me in the bathroom one day, and she was like, shared my story in a little backtracking. I shared my story in front of 1,800 people at the Relay for Life Assembly, or one of my stories. But that in itself was, you think 40 people think that times God knows how much. But anyway, the point of that was someone came up to me in the bathroom 2 weeks later, and she said, "Were you the girl who shared your story about breast cancer?" And I said, yeah, that was me. She was like, she was in tears. She was standing there in tears because she was diagnosed with breast cancer 2 weeks before. And that meant the world to me, that someone got it. Someone my age going through a more extended version of what I did. That meant the world. There was nothing that could have been more relieving or more beautiful than that. Seeing someone going through the exact same thing you are. You're not alone. You can do anything. You can be anything because you have people that are there for you every step of the way. And for me, that was the best part of my story.
There's a boy without his mother. She left when he was born. And there's a girl lost her father. It's never felt so alone. And all the kid keeps hearing is how he's not good enough. After a while he starts believing to live is just too tough. Why don't we listen? We just sit and stare. Would it make a difference if I told you I care? We don't wanna walk away, and sometimes we just shut down. This is a chance to scream, a chance to light it up. Just open up your eyes and look deep inside. Yeah. When you hear what I have to say, you won't be the same. This is my story.
Okay. Over the summer, at like the end of summer, kind of becoming close to like the first day of school, I was down in Santa Barbara for a soccer tournament, and on my way back home, I got a call from my friend's little brother, who I'm like really close with. I talk to all the time, and I've been friends with their family forever. And it was kind of weird because I hadn't talked to him in a while, but then he told me that his brother's in the hospital, and his brother's like, he was my best friend, and so he told me he's in the hospital, and ironically he was down in Santa Barbara where I was, so my dad and I went, and I found out that he had a brain aneurysm, and so he was in a drug-induced coma, and they didn't think he was gonna make it. So we stayed there for a couple days. I actually stayed there until the day before, or the day school started, and I went from the hotel that I was staying at to school. And that morning, I actually had to say goodbye to him for the last time because they had to take him off. They had to take him off the drugs because he just wasn't gonna make it. So he died that morning. So when I came to school, I'm like, I'm emotional, but at the same time, like I try to just go on with my day when something, like things happen like that, kind of, because I don't want to like ruin anybody else's day with what I go through, and I'm kind of like a people pleaser in a way, I guess, and I'd rather see everybody else happy. So I came to school and I didn't tell anybody what had happened. I didn't even tell my best friend, and I just kind of like was going on with my day. And in my first period of class, I was sitting there and I just like, I couldn't sit there anymore, and I was just, everything was going through my head, like the thought that I was just never going to see him again, the thought that just a couple hours ago I was holding his hand saying goodbye to my best friend, and I'm now sitting in a classroom around people that like I just don't even want to be around. So I started crying, and this girl sitting like kind of like diagonal from me looks over at me and like looks at her friend and goes, like, why is she crying? Like, what is there to cry about? Like, it's the first day of school, like why is she crying? And instead of being like a nice person and like saying, oh, like what's wrong, she just decided to turn to her friend and like just not even care. Like I literally sat there for an entire class period by myself with my head down crying, and not one person asked me what was wrong. And I felt just so like unnoticed and felt like nobody cared, because I know if I was sitting in a classroom and I saw someone crying, I would go up and like ask them what's wrong. But the fact that I got to sit there for an hour or so and just cry by myself and not have anybody ask just kind of really upset me. And so, I don't know, then I finally told my friend at nutrition what was going on. And, she hugged me and all and told me everything was going to be okay, and obviously that's what everybody says in that kind of situation. But I couldn't get those girls' words out of my head for a while. And I just didn't want to come back to school. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go to soccer practice. I didn't want to hang out with any friends. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I just didn't even want to be here. And that week I still had his funeral to go to. Didn't even tell anybody I was going to a funeral. I just went. I didn't come to school. And again, nobody asked. And I don't know. So when I finally got the chance to tell my story and kind of explain that what she said is true, like if you're sitting next to a person who you think normally is really happy and full of energy and whatever, and they don't have any problems, like you just don't talk to them and it's fine and you go on with your day. But for me, when you see someone sitting there who's clearly hurting and you ignore it, that's a kind of another thing. So maybe in doing this and sharing people's stories and everything, we can get people to have more courage to reach out for someone else's hand and ask them if they need help, because that would have really, really helped me my first couple months or so at school, going through something like that. So with that, that's kind of my story. It's not like...
But, and like that, obviously like, like it lifted off my shoulders. But like telling it again, it's like, like, it's like gone. Like, I like carry it around all the time. And like, even though it's like being filmed and like it may be shown to the whole school, like, that's my story. And like, I'm like owning it because.
But like I remember like looking into everyone's eyes and there was just no barriers, and it was one of the coolest things because like rarely does that happen where like you can look at a person and totally see who they are. It's like there's no facade. So I thought that was really cool. That was like, I think that was my favorite part.
Yeah, for a little while afterwards, you just kind of like look at everyone differently, and it's like, so hey, there's a side of this person I didn't know. And so for like that entire week that we had in my story, it was like just different looking at everyone, and like I felt different, and like
and that was one of the things that impacted me. But I think my story as a whole kind of brings, instead of going through school and just having your friends or your peers, it really becomes more tight-knit. I feel like I'd have almost a family with people that I've talked to through my story, and just in general I feel like the vibe of the class has gotten much closer.
People go through things and that's what makes them who they are, and you can't just judge like, oh, I see them, they're wearing a shirt that's too small for them, like what the hell, you shouldn't be dressing like that. No, like maybe they like that shirt like to wear like that, you can't just judge what you see. It's like, kind of like the cliche, like you don't judge a book by its cover.
I also feel that like everyone's story, it may have an impact more on like a certain person than it could on others, because like what if someone's going through like the exact same thing you went through, or and like you like are going through the same thing as somebody else. Like that's how I got to share my stories, because somebody else is like, it impacted me, and I'm just like, wow, like she's like me. Like I mean not everyone's obviously like me and this other girl, but like it gives you the courage to say something, and also to feel comfortable to say it too, because you know that there's at least one person in that room that feels the exact same way you do.
Like that she got her license 2 days ago and she was so happy about it. I thought it was cool that she just decided to share that it wasn't something that really made her feel down, but it was something that really made her happy. So she was really cute. She just got up there and was really excited. Was just laughing and smiling on how happy she was. But
like nothing has to be like tragic and like sad for it to be like a good story. Like anyone's story is a good story.
was adopted, and I don't know why. I just felt like I've never really. I shouldn't have what I have because, like, the only reason I was adopted is just because, like, you know, basically parents didn't want me type of thing. When I was younger, I don't think that's how it really was, but that's how I feel. At least they didn't have the option, or well, they didn't want to get an abortion when I was born, so they wanted me to live. But anyway, so I was adopted, and ever since then, I've always felt like I've been in like borrowed time. My parents love me and everything. It's just like I basically lived the perfect life. It's just like I don't feel like it's mine. And I'll always care for my friends and stuff like that, but I never feel like this is mine, and that's why I'll always be there for my friends and that type of thing. They're the most important people to me, and I was kind of down my sophomore year. Actually, that's when I met my little sister. And she's like the most important thing that's ever happened to me. She's like pretty much my reason for being right now, and everything that matters to her matters to me. I want all my friends to be happy, and that's just what I do. It's who I am now. I live for everyone else. I just want the world to be a better place. So that's kind of why I joined My Story, and it's really nice. I just love it. So yeah, it's my story.